Stop. Whatever your hands were doing, let them rest for a moment. I am not asking for your whole day. I am asking for these few minutes, and I am asking for them completely. What I want to say cannot be heard sideways. It cannot be heard while half of you is standing somewhere else, already thinking about the next thing. So let the noise settle. Let your shoulders come down from around your ears. Let my voice reach the part of you that quietly stopped expecting good news. You did not wander into these words by accident. I arranged this. I have arranged stranger things than a message finding the right person at the right hour. I did not bring you here to flatter you or to tell you what you already know. I brought you here because something has to be said today, and it has to be said to you. I know the shape your life is in right now, not the version you describe when someone asks how you are doing. The other one, the one you carry when the house is quiet and there is no one left to be strong for. There is a thing you have been asking me for. You have asked so many times that the words wore smooth, like a stone handled too often. At some point you stopped saying it out loud. You started folding it up small and setting it in a back corner of your heart, the way a person folds a letter that never got an answer. And a thought began to grow in that corner. Maybe he stopped listening. Maybe I am being punished for something. Maybe I asked for the wrong thing, and the silence is his way of saying no without having to say it. Hear me clearly. That thought is not from me, and it is not true. I did not stop listening. I did not turn my face away from you. And I have never once used silence as a way to shame you. What happened is different, and it is time you understood it, because the misunderstanding has cost you more than the delay ever did. Some things in your life have been sealed shut. In the old world, a seal was not a lock. A lock keeps out thieves. A seal was pressed into soft wax with a ring, and it meant something else entirely. It meant this stays closed until the one with the authority opens it. A sealed jar of oil was not empty. A sealed letter was not blank. A sealed tomb was not the end of the story. The contents were already there, already full, already finished. They were simply waiting on the hand that had the right to break the wax. There are 3 places in your life carrying that mark. The first is over your provision. What comes in, what stays, what runs through your fingers before you can close them. The second is over the people, who stands beside you, who understands you, who answers when you call. The third is over your purpose, the reason you were made, the work with your name on it that no one else can do in your place. 3 seals. 3 sealed things, and you have spent years pushing against wax, thinking it was stone. I am not going to tell you that the hard years were a lesson I was teaching you. That would make me cruel, and I am not cruel. I did not arrange your losses to sharpen your character. Some of what happened to you happened because the world is broken and people have their own will, and I hate what it cost you as much as you do. What I will tell you is this. You were not overlooked while you waited. Not for 1 hour of it. There is a difference between a man who is forgotten and a man who is held, and from the inside they can feel almost the same. You have been held. I have been closer to you in the last year than in any year of your life, and you could not feel it because pain takes up so much room that it crowds out everything standing beside it. Long ago, I told a man named Habakkuk to write down what I showed him. Write it plainly, I said, so a runner can read it as he passes. The vision is for an appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. Though it takes long, wait for it, because it will surely come and it will not be late. Notice what I did not say. I did not say it will come quickly. I said it will not be late. There is a difference. and that difference is where you have been living. So here is what I am asking of you in these next minutes. Stay. Do not step away halfway through and leave the wax unbroken. Do not decide ahead of me what this can and cannot be for you. And do not let the old thought speak first when I say something good, because it has had the first word in your heart for far too long. I'm going to break these 3 seals with you, one at a time, in order. And I'm going to tell you plainly what has been sitting behind each one, because you have a right to know what is yours. But first, understand how this will come to you so you do not miss it while looking the wrong way. You are expecting thunder. Something loud enough to settle every argument. Something so obvious that the people who doubted you will have to admit they were wrong. I understand why. When a person has been let down often enough, they start needing proof that cannot be explained away. That is not usually how I move. Elijah stood on the mountain, and I sent a wind that split the rocks. I was not in the wind. Then an earthquake. I was not in the earthquake. Then fire. I was not in the fire. And after the fire came a low, quiet voice. And that is where I was. A woman pressed through a crowd and touched the edge of a garment without saying one word, and everything in her changed on the spot. I am usually the quiet thing in the room, so do not stand there waiting for a shout while I am speaking in a whisper right beside you. Something is about to shift in your life, and it will likely arrive without announcement. A conversation that goes differently than every other one. A door that opens on a Tuesday for no reason you can name. A weight that lifts off your chest while you're washing dishes, and you stop, hands wet, wondering what just happened. That is me. Learn to recognize me. If your heart is still standing here with me, say your amen right now, out loud, where you are. Now let us go to the first seal, the one over your provision. You know this one better than the other 2, because you have been pressing on it the longest. You work. You keep working. And somehow the ground never rises under your feet. Money comes in and leaves through a hole you cannot find. Something breaks the same week something else is repaid. You have done the arithmetic at the kitchen table more times than you would admit to anyone, moving the same small numbers around, hoping they add up differently by looking at them again. I want to say something to you that no one else has said about this. The lack was never a verdict on you. You decided at some point that it was. You watched people with half your effort and a quarter of your honesty walk into ease, and something inside you concluded that they had a favor you were missing. That maybe you were built slightly wrong. That maybe there is a kind of person who gets to have enough, and you were simply not made from that material. That is a lie you have carried for years, and I want it out of my house. Look at who I have fed. A widow in Zarephath had a handful of flour and a little oil in a jar, and she was gathering sticks to cook the last meal she and her son would eat before they lay down to die. That was the whole of her supply. I sent a hungry prophet to her door and asked her for the first portion of it. It sounds unkind until you know the end. The flour did not run out. The oil did not fail. Not that day, not that month, not until the rain came again. Notice how that worked. I did not fill her house with grain. I filled her jar day after day, for as long as she needed it filled. She never once had a storehouse. She never once went hungry. Some of you have been asking me for a storehouse because you are tired of the jar. I understand the tiredness, but I have not been failing to provide. I have been providing in a rhythm that requires you to keep coming back to me. And there were seasons when that rhythm was the only thing keeping your heart near mine. That season is closing now. Here is what has actually been happening behind that first seal, and I want you to hear it without flinching. Provision has been reaching toward you and turning back at the door. Things meant for your hand went to another hand. Opportunities passed close enough that you felt the wind off them. You were not imagining that. You were not being dramatic. Something was standing between what I released and what you received. Some of that came from the enemy of your soul, who has no power to create anything and spends his whole existence rerouting what belongs to someone else. Some of it came from doors that were shut by people who never knew your name. And some of it, I will tell you honestly, came from timing that would have harmed you. There were 3 occasions in the last several years when the very thing you begged me for would have arrived beside a person or an arrangement that would have taken far more from you than the money was worth. You wept over those closed doors. One day you will thank me for 2 of them. But not everything shut was protection, and I am not going to insult you by pretending it was. Some of it was simply not yet. And not yet has an ending. The wax on that first seal is breaking as my voice reaches you. Let me tell you what to expect, because I would rather you recognize it than argue with it. Peter fished all night. All night in the water he had worked since he was a boy, with the skill of a man who knew every current in that lake. He caught nothing, not a small catch, nothing. In the morning, a carpenter told him to put the nets down again in the same water, in the wrong part of the day, and the nets filled so full that they began to tear, and a second boat had to come out to help carry it. Same lake, same man, same nets. One word of difference. Your breakthrough may not require a new city, a new trade, or a new set of skills. It may require one instruction, given at the right hour, into the same water you have already worked to the point of exhaustion. So do not despise the ordinary ground you are standing on. The ordinary ground is where I do most of my work. Watch for these things in the days just ahead. Money arriving from a direction you were not watching. Something owed to you that you had written off entirely. A cost that was coming toward you and simply does not arrive. A person who thinks of your name in a room you are not standing in. That last one matters more than you know. Most of what I have ever given a man came to him through the mouth of somebody else. A cupbearer remembered Joseph 2 years late, and by nightfall that same day Joseph stood in front of the king with a ring on his hand. 2 years the cupbearer forgot. One afternoon to change everything. So when the shift begins, do not shrink it down to a coincidence. Do not say it was luck or timing or the market, or that things were bound to turn eventually. Put your hand on it and call it what it is. Say it out loud. This came from my Father. There is a reason I ask that of you. Every unclaimed good thing goes quietly back to being ordinary, and an ordinary thing teaches your heart nothing. But a thing you name as mine builds something in you that carries into the next hard season, and there will be other seasons. I am not building you a life without weather. I am building a man, a woman, who knows my voice in the weather. The first seal is open. What was held is released. Not because you finally earned it, and not because you prayed the right words in the right order, but because the appointed time has come, and I am the one who keeps the appointments. Do not go back to the arithmetic tonight. Come and eat. If you believe what I have just told you, let me hear you say it. Speak your amen where you stand. Now the second seal. This one is over the people. You are lonely in a way that has nothing to do with how many names you know. That is the part almost nobody understands. You can be surrounded and still be the only one in the room who is actually there. You have sat at tables full of talk and felt like a guest in your own life. Somewhere along the way you became the strong one, the one who handles it, the one people call when something has gone wrong and never call when nothing has. So you learned to answer, you learned to carry, and you learned without ever deciding to that there is no one to hand your own weight to. So you might as well stop looking for a place to set it down. Do you know what that has done to you? It has made you fluent in a language of your own. You can tell someone you are fine in 11 different ways and mean none of them. I have heard every one of them. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I am preparing. Now let me tell you what has been sitting behind this second seal, because it is not what you assume. You assume the problem is that no one good has come. The truth is that people have come and gone, and a few of them were mine, and you did not recognize them because you had already decided in advance what help would look like. You were watching for someone to rescue you. I was sending someone to sit with you. Those are not the same, and the second is rarer and worth more. Job had 3 friends. When they heard what had happened to him, they came from 3 different places and found him so changed by grief, they did not know his face. They tore their clothes and sat down on the ground beside him for 7 days and 7 nights, and did not say one word, because they saw that his pain was very great. That was the best thing they ever did for him. The moment they opened their mouths to explain his suffering, they became a burden heavier than the suffering. Understand what I am telling you. The people I am bringing you may not fix a single thing. They will sit down. And when the ones who sit down arrive, do not measure them against the ones who were supposed to fix it. There was a man named Saul who had hunted my people, dragged them out of their houses, stood by their deaths with satisfaction. Then I met him on a road and turned his life inside out. And when he came to the very people he had persecuted, every one of them was afraid of him. They did not believe he had changed. Who could blame them? One man believed him. Barnabas took him by the arm and walked him in and told them what had happened on that road. One man vouching for another. That is the whole hinge of it. Half the letters in my book exist because a single man was willing to stand beside someone nobody else would stand beside. I am sending you a Barnabas, not a crowd. One is enough. Do not despise the smallness of one, and I am going to be honest with you about the other half of this, because you have felt it starting already. Some people are leaving your life, and I am not stopping it. You have noticed the thinning. Someone stopped answering. A friendship that used to be effortless now takes work that only you seem willing to do. Invitations that used to come do not. And you have been lying awake asking yourself what you did wrong. Often nothing. Not every departure is a punishment, and not every closed door is a rejection. Some rooms were making you smaller, and you had grown so used to the ceiling that you began to walk, stooped even outdoors. I am not going to leave you in a room where you have to shrink to fit. If someone can only stay in your life while you stay beneath yourself, then their leaving is not a loss. It is a door held open. Grieve it honestly. I am not asking you to pretend it does not hurt. But do not go chasing back down a road I closed on purpose, apologizing for growing. Now hear this, because it is the heart of the second seal. Ruth was a foreigner and a widow with nothing. Her mother-in-law told her plainly to go home, that there was no future to be had by staying, that the road ahead held only poverty. Ruth would not go. She said, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay." She had no reason to say it. There was nothing in it for her. They walked into Bethlehem at the start of the barley harvest, and Ruth went out to gather leftover grain in whatever field would tolerate her, and she happened into a field belonging to a man named Boaz. It says she happened. I want you to hold that word. It says she happened into it, because from the ground that is exactly what it looked like. It was the beginning of a family line that runs to a king, and past that king, further than she could ever have imagined from where she stood in that dust with her hands full of somebody else's leftovers. She did not know. She could not have known. She was tired and hungry and doing the small, honest thing in front of her. You are somewhere in a chapter like that right now, and you cannot see the shape of it from inside. That is not a failure of your faith. It is the nature of standing in a field. The second seal is broken. The isolation ends. Someone is going to come near you soon, and stay near, and when they do, let them. Do not hand them the 11 ways of saying you are fine. Tell one of them the truth and see what happens. You were not made to carry your whole life by yourself. I never asked that of you. You volunteered, and I am relieving you. Now we come to the third seal, and this is the one you have never been able to name. The other two you could put words to. Not enough money. Not enough people. This one is different. This one is the feeling that arrives on an ordinary afternoon when nothing in particular is wrong, and something in you goes quiet and says, "This is not it. There is something I am supposed to be doing, and I am not doing it. And I do not even know what it is well enough to go looking for it." You have tried to reason it away. You told yourself you were being ungrateful. You told yourself that most people never feel like their life means anything and they get along fine. So who are you to want more than that? I put that restlessness in you. I am not going to take it out. It is not discontent. It is a compass, and it has been pointing at something the whole time. Now hear me, because this is where nearly everyone goes wrong. You have been searching for your purpose as though it were somewhere else. A different city, a different trade, a different version of yourself who is braver and better rested and less afraid of being seen. So you look at your actual life, the small rooms and the tired hands and the same road every morning, and you conclude that whatever I made you for must be waiting somewhere you have not been yet. Look at where I have found people. Moses spent 40 years on the backside of a wilderness looking after another man's sheep. He had been raised in a palace, and he had thrown it all away in one bad hour, and he lived 4 decades believing his life had already happened and was over. He was not seeking me. He was doing his job. He turned aside to look at a bush that was burning and would not burn up, and I called his name out of it. Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress, down in a hole, hiding the grain so his enemies would not take it. That is not a picture of a hero. That is a frightened man doing what he can in secret. My messenger came and sat under the tree and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior, mighty warrior." To a man hiding in a pit. I do not call people according to what they are managing at the moment. I call them according to what I put in them, which is a thing they usually cannot see, and other people almost never can. David was anointed as king in front of his whole family, and then sent straight back out to the sheep. Years passed. He carried cheese and bread to his brothers on a battlefield, and they spoke to him like a nuisance child. The anointing did not change his address for a very long time. So stop waiting to feel qualified. That feeling is not coming, and it was never the requirement. I have never once called a person who felt ready. Moses argued with me about his speech. Jeremiah told me he was too young. Every one of them was right about themselves and wrong about what that meant. Here is what has been sitting behind this third seal. Your purpose is not far from you. It is standing much closer than you think, and it is smaller than you imagined. And that smallness is precisely why you keep walking past it. You have been waiting for something grand enough to justify the wait. Meanwhile, the thing itself has been in your hands the whole time, disguised as an ordinary ability. The way people end up telling you things they have not told anyone else. The way you notice the one person at the edge of a room. The patience you have with something that makes everyone else give up. The work your hands do without effort while others struggle. Those are not personality traits. Those are the tools. A prophet asked once, "Who has despised the day of small things?" He asked it because I was building a house through a discouraged handful of people who could not see how it would ever amount to anything, and the work looked pitiful next to what had stood there before. They wept when they saw the foundation. It was too small. It was not what they remembered. It became a house that history could not forget. You are living in a day of small things. Do not despise it, and do not sit it out waiting for a larger one. Now let me speak to the part of this that has hurt you most. You have watched years pass. You are older than you meant to be by the time your life started, and there is a quiet arithmetic you do sometimes about how much road is left. You wonder if you missed it. If there was a door years ago you should have walked through, and by hesitating you traded the life you were meant for, and this one is what remains. That is not how I work, and I want that fear pulled out by the root. I am not a man with one plan who is thrown off course when someone fails. My purposes do not hang on you having been perfect at 25. Joseph was sold, imprisoned, and forgotten, and none of that was his doing, and he still ended up standing exactly where he needed to be to keep a nation alive. The wrong turns did not cancel the destination. They became the road to it. You did not miss it. It is not behind you. And you are not too old, because I am not on your side of time, and the number that frightens you does not frighten me at all. The third seal is broken now. What this will look like is not a lightning bolt of clarity. It will look like the next right thing becoming obvious. One step, lit, and then dark past that. You will know what to do on Thursday. You will not know what happens in a year. That is not me withholding. That is how anyone walks in the dark with a lamp. The lamp does not light the whole road. It lights enough for the next step, and it moves when you move. Take the step you can see. The next one will show itself when you get there. It always has. You are not stuck. You were sealed. There is a difference, and the difference is that a sealed thing was always meant to be opened. 3 seals. All 3 open. Now something begins that you have never lived in before, and I want to describe it carefully so you do not mistake it for luck when it starts. For most of your life you have had to chase. Chase the work. Chase the answer. Chase the person who might help, and rehearse what you would say to them, and hope you did not sound desperate. You have been the one pushing. Every good thing you ever got, you got by pressing your shoulder against it until it moved. That season ends here. I told my people once, I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break the gates of bronze in pieces and cut through the bars of iron. I will give you treasures hidden in darkness, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord who calls you by your name. Hear the order of it. I go first. The gates are broken before you arrive at them. and the treasure was already there, in the dark, in the secret place, long before you knew there was anything to find. That is what is now moving toward you. Things will begin to come to you instead of away from you. You will not be able to explain some of it. A name will be spoken in a room you have never entered. A person you helped years ago and forgot about will remember it at the exact moment their word carries weight. Something you gave away without thinking will come back through a door you did not know existed. You will find yourself saying, "That is strange," more than once in the coming weeks. It is not strange. It is arranged. The second thing that comes is people, and I have already told you about that, so I will only add this. When they arrive, they will feel oddly familiar. Not because you have met them, but because they will carry something of mine, and you know my presence even when you cannot name what you are recognizing. The third thing is favor, and favor is the strangest of the three to watch from the inside. Favor is when a decision goes your way and no one can quite say why. It is a person changing their mind about you overnight with no new information. It is being chosen when you were not the obvious choice, and the ones who chose you cannot explain their reasoning any better than you can. It is a hard heart softening toward you between one conversation and the next. I do that. I have always been able to reach into a man's regard and turn it. I did it for Joseph in a prison, for Daniel in a foreign court, for Esther in a room where the wrong word cost a life. None of them argued their way into it. It was given. If you believe favor is being released over your life, say your amen out loud right now. Now I must tell you your part in this, because there is one, and it is smaller than you think and more important than you think. Your part is your mouth. Words are not decoration. They are not simply a report on how things already are. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and the ones who love it will eat its fruit. That is not a saying. That is a description of how I built the world. I made everything that exists by speaking, and I made you in my likeness. And one of the things that carried over is that what you say has weight in the room where you say it. You have been speaking against yourself for years, not on purpose. It became a habit somewhere in the middle of the hard years, and it sounded like modesty, and sometimes it even sounded like faith. I never get anything. It always falls apart at the last minute. I do not want to get my hopes up. Things like this do not happen to people like me. I want that language out of your mouth, not because a word can undo my will. Nothing you say can cancel what I have decided about you. But your words shape what you are able to receive, the way a vessel shapes the water poured into it. A man who has already announced that nothing good comes to him will explain away the good when it arrives. He will call it a fluke. He will wait for it to go wrong. And he will be so busy protecting himself from disappointment that he will not have both hands free to take hold of what I am handing him. So change what you say, not by pretending. I am not asking you to stand in a bare kitchen and declare that it is full. That is not faith, that is denial, and I have no use for it. Faith says the truth and then says my truth after it. The rent is short and my God provides. I am tired and my God carries. I do not see a way through and my God goes before me and breaks the bars of iron. Both halves, the honest one and the higher one. That is how the men and women in my book prayed, and you can hear it all through them, that they told me exactly how bad it was, and then refused to end the sentence there. Practice that, out loud, where you can hear yourself. Your own ears are listening more closely than you realize. And one more thing about waiting for the shift to appear. Elijah told his servant to go look toward the sea. He went and looked and came back and said, "There is nothing." 6 times he went and came back with nothing. On the 7th he said, "There is a small cloud rising out of the sea, no bigger than a man's hand." That was it. That was the whole sign. A smudge on a horizon after 3 years without rain. And Elijah stood up and told the king to run for shelter, because heavy rain was coming. And before long the sky was black and the rain came down in sheets. The first evidence is usually the size of a hand. So do not sit there waiting for the sky to go black before you believe. Look for the small cloud. Then act like the rain is already on its way, because it is. Now I have to tell you something that will save you a great deal of confusion in the days ahead, and I would rather you hear it from me before it happens than figure it out afterward in the middle of it. There will be pushback, not because something has gone wrong, because something has gone right, and the change has been noticed. Nothing sealed has ever been opened quietly. When a man begins to move toward the life I made him for, the ground he is leaving does not simply let him go. Pharaoh did not shrug when the people walked out. He got in a chariot and came after them, and they were not being punished for leaving. They were being pursued because they had left. So when the difficulty comes, do not read it backward and decide that you misheard me. Here is the shape it usually takes, so you will know it on sight. First, voices. Someone close to you will hear the hope in how you are speaking and will try gently to lower it. They will call it being realistic. Some of them mean well and are genuinely trying to protect you from another fall, because they were there for the last one and they remember what it cost you. Do not become bitter toward them. Just do not hand them your faith for safekeeping. They will keep it too carefully and give it back smaller. Second, disorder. Small things will fail at once, all in the same week, with a timing that feels almost deliberate. Something breaks. Someone gets sick. An old argument reopens for no reason. It will feel like the ceiling is coming down exactly when you had begun to look up. That is not an accident. That is noise. And noise has one purpose, which is to occupy your attention until you forget what you were reaching for. Third, and this is the quiet one, the pull to go back, not back to anything good, back to the old low expectation, because it was familiar and it never disappointed you. There is a strange comfort in expecting nothing. Nobody ever falls from the floor. Part of you will want to lie back down there and it will feel like wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is the thing that has kept you where you were. Now I will tell you what to do about all of it, and it is simpler than you expect. You do not have to fight it. You have to outlast it. Let me show you something that happened to a man named Daniel. He set himself to seek me and he prayed, and nothing came. Days went by, 3 weeks. He kept praying, ate nothing pleasant, and heard silence. Then a messenger arrived and said something you should never forget. From the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. 21 days of a man believing he had not been heard, and the answer had left on the first day. Do you understand what I am putting in front of you? Delay is not denial. Silence is not absence. There are things happening on the other side of what you can see, and the fact that you cannot see them is not evidence that they are not happening. Daniel almost quit on day 20. Do not let anyone tell you that a man of faith never wavers. He wavers. He simply keeps standing. You are somewhere in your own 21 days. I will not tell you which day. I will tell you that your words were heard on the first one. And while you wait, Understand what is around you. I have set a boundary that cannot be crossed. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you shall show to be wrong. That is not a wish I am expressing. That is a settlement I have already made. It does not mean no weapon is formed. Weapons are formed. It means they do not finish what they were made to do. There was a night when a whole army surrounded a city because of one man, and his servant went outside in the morning and saw them and panicked. Horses, chariots, the hills full of them. And the prophet said, "Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Then he prayed that the young man's eyes would be opened, and the young man looked again and saw the mountain full of horses and chariots of fire all around them. Nothing had changed outside. Everything had changed in what he could see. I'm not going to open your eyes like that today. Most people go their whole lives without one glimpse of it, and they are no less protected. But I want you to know that the hillside around your life is not empty. It has never been empty. You have been guarded in ways you will not learn about until much later, and some of the worst days of your life were the days I stopped something you never knew was coming. So when the resistance rises, do not panic and do not perform. You do not need to shout at the dark. You need to stand where I put you and refuse to move. The one who opposes you has no ability to create anything. He cannot make a single new thing. All he can do is take what already exists and turn it slightly, and lie about what it means. That is his entire craft. He is not powerful, he is persistent, and people mistake the two. Hold your ground. The pressure you are feeling is not the beginning of another loss. It is the last complaint of a season that is being made to release you. So let me tell you how to walk through the next few days, because they matter more than the ones behind you. Keep talking to me. Not only the folded hands and the closed eyes, though those are good. I mean the running conversation. Tell me about the small thing that annoyed you. Ask me before you answer the difficult letter. Say my name when you are halfway up the stairs with your arms full. I am not honored by formality and bored by the rest. The kitchen counts as much as the sanctuary. The moment a man stops speaking to me is usually the moment he goes back to carrying it alone, and he rarely notices it happening. It does not feel like abandoning me. It feels like getting on with things. Thank me before the evidence arrives. I know how that sounds. There is a king in my book named Jehoshaphat who had 3 armies coming at him at once and no strategy worth the name. And he stood up in front of everyone and admitted it plainly. He said, "We have no power against this great company, and we do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you." Then he did something that made no military sense. He put the singers out in front of the soldiers, praise walking ahead of the army into a battle that had not yet begun. They never had to fight it. By the time they arrived, it was over. That is what thanking me in advance is. It is not pretending. It is putting the singers out front while the outcome is still unknown, because you have decided who you trust with it. Watch what you take into yourself in these days. You are more porous than usual right now. What you listen to, who you talk to, what you replay in your mind at midnight, all of it is either feeding your faith or feeding your fear. And there is no third option, and nothing is neutral. You do not have to become strange about it. Just notice what leaves you heavier than it found you, and put it down. And watch for the sign, but watch with soft eyes. It will probably not look like what you have been waiting for. It might be a name coming to mind that you have not thought about in years. And when you reach out, the timing is impossible. It might be a small amount of money from a direction you had forgotten. It might be a sentence someone says in passing that answers the exact question you asked me in the dark last week, and they will have no idea what they just did. When it comes, stop. Say thank you out loud. Say it in whatever room it happens in. Do not save it for later. Later it will have shrunk down into a coincidence, and you will have lost the one thing it was carrying. I want to say something now about the ones you love. You have been carrying people. Some of them do not know how much of your strength goes to holding them up, and one or two of them would be ashamed if they did. You pray for them last, after everything else, when you are already tired. You have wondered more than once whether those prayers were doing anything at all. Set that worry down. The ones you carry in prayer are not carried by you alone. Your asking has done more in their lives than you will be shown on this side. There are people walking free right now who have no idea they were prayed for, and it is not my way to hand out that ledger early. But I keep it. And the ones you are still worried about, the ones far off, the ones you have almost given up hoping for, I have not given up. I have never once been late to a life the way I am accused of being. Keep asking. You are not wearing me down. You are keeping the door open, and one day someone will walk back through it. Now hear the last of it. You came here today carrying something. You have not put it all down, and I am not asking you to do that in one afternoon. What I am asking is that you leave here holding it differently. The 3 seals are open. What was blocked over your provision is released. What was blocked over the people around you is released. What was blocked over your purpose is released. You are not stuck. You never were. You were sealed, and sealed things are opened by the one with the right to open them. And I have that right, and I have used it today. Do not go back to living as though the wax is still whole. Some of what I have promised will show itself quickly. Some will take longer than you would like, and you will have to hold on through a stretch where nothing visible happens. That is not me changing my mind. I do not change my mind. My steadiness is the one thing in your life that has never depended on how well you were doing. I know you are tired, not the kind of tired that sleep repairs. I know the exact weight of it, and I am not disappointed in you for feeling it. Come to me anyway. Bring the tiredness itself. You do not have to arrive full of strength, and you never did. You are not behind. You are not too far gone. You are not the exception to my goodness that you have quietly suspected you might be. There is no such person, and there is certainly not one listening to me right now. Walk out of here differently than you came in. Lift your head when you go through the door. Speak to me like someone who is expecting an answer, because you are. Take the next step, the small one, the one you can already see, and let me handle the road past it. The greatest part of your life is not behind you. Whatever anyone has told you, whatever you have told yourself in the worst hours, that part is still in front of you, and I am already standing in it, waiting for you to arrive. If your heart is saying yes to everything I have spoken over you today, let your amen be the last word you speak before you go.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.